Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Monotui, coach of the Tampa Bay Luxrays, and today I'm bringing you guys the season finale of PPL Season 5. That is right, Week 11 of the Pokemon Premier League. This week we are going up against Schady, aka Kari, apparently, coach of the Bayern Mewnich. If you've not done so already, please check out his YouTube link in the description below. He is a very good creator, very good friend of mine as well, one of the more known people in the Pokemon Premier League. If you guys don't know, at this point, neither of us are going to be eligible for the championship. However, at this point in the season, we are both 6-4, and we are looking to extend, and each of us are looking to extend our records to 7-4, as well as possibly get a chance at 4th or 3rd place. Schady has a chance at 3rd place with his differential. I do not. However, I can get 4th place, which is not terrible. You know, after winning 2 seasons in a row, 4th place is also not that bad. Being in the top 5 3 seasons in a row is pretty good. But regardless, let us just get into the team breakdown. So, as you can see here, we have our Swampert. This is going to be a relatively standard physically defensive Swampert with Stealth Rocks, although we are fully special on this Swampert. We have Scald, Earth Power, and then we have Sludge Wave, which is going to be very nice to hit the possible Tapu Fini wanting to come in and possibly defogging my rocks. We actually have a Shuckleberry Victini here with V-Create, Bolt Strike, U-Turn, and actually Thunder Wave. Thunder Wave is going to be very important for that Charizard, which is a big reason why we are Shuckleberry. We can live a +1 Dragon Claw, we can even live a +1 Earthquake, and Thunder Wave that thing, assuming the Misty Terrain is not up. We can also Thunder Wave a possible Muck that wants to come in, and then U-Turn out. We can, obviously hit things like the Aerodactyl very hard, as well as the Tapu Fini with Bolt Strike. And then V-Create is just relatively spammable versus his team. The only real switch-in he has to it is going to be that Zard X, which is a big reason why we have that Thunder Wave. Even if we hit the Zard with a V-Create, we will not die to an Earthquake on the following turn, and I can hit that thing with a Thunder Wave, which is very nice. Then we have a Power Herb Sky Attack Hawlucha, Swords Dance, obviously Sky Attack, Acrobatics, and then High Jump Kick. Dual Stab just kind of wrecks his team. The only switch-in he has to it is regular Rotom. However, that's not the bulkiest thing in the world, and if I can weaken it down a little bit, I can knock it out with Acrobatics, which is very nice. Then we have a Specially Defensive Gliscor, which is meant to take on a few different things on his team. It can deal with the Rotom, it can deal with pretty much any version of the Jirachi. I can take Ice Punches, I can take Icy Winds relatively well, hit that thing with an Earthquake if that is what he is running. We are also running Swords Dance, Earthquake, U-Turn, and Roost. We have Swords Dance on there for a couple things. One, I can set up a Swords Dance versus like a bulkier Zard X, which is going to be very nice. I can set up a Swords Dance versus the Muck, which is really nice. I can also Swords Dance up against the Tapu Fini, and unless he has Ice Beam, he will not be able to do too much damage to me. Even Uninvested Surf does not do too much, especially defensive Gliscor. Then we also have U-Turn on there just to gain ourselves some initiative, which is going to be very useful. Then we also have actually a Curse Licky Licky. So we are Body Slam, Curse, Rest, and Sleep Talk. Obviously, you have to be careful with resting up when you have that Tapu Fini around, and also I obviously cannot touch the Rotom. I really didn't expect him to bring Rotom, because when you look at my team, it just kind of counters it really hard. Like, Victini outspeeds, hits it with the V-Create, can't really do anything to Licky Licky other than burn it, which I could possibly have Heal Bell for. I have a Hydreigon, and I have 2 ground types, so I really didn't think he would be bringing the Rotom, however it's here. This set also allows me to set up versus things like Jirachi, assuming it's not Combine Jirachi. I can set up versus the Tapu Fini as well, because he cannot taunt me because of Oblivious, which is nice. He also cannot... Is it Oblivious? Yeah, it's Oblivious. He can't taunt me with the Aerodactyl as well, and I can Curse Up versus that thing. I can Curse Up before the Zard X wants to come in, possibly do it that way. Also spamming Body Slam, I can get paras on possible resists, such as Jirachi and Aerodactyl. Obviously, again, without the Misty Terrain up, though I can paralyze the Aerodactyl with Misty Terrain up because it's a flying type. And then we have a, not a Choice Scarf Hydreigon. This is a relatively kind of stall breakery one. It's basically Dual Stab plus Taunt and Tailwind. No, not Dual Stab. Dual Stab plus Roost and Tailwind. Tailwind is going to be very useful for possibly things like the Victini, so that I can hit things very hard as well as outspeed things after V creates. It'll also be very useful for Hawlucha, in case I don't have my Unburden and he still has Aerodactyl around. And we don't really have a way to hit the Tapu Fini with this, but Hydreigon can't really hit Tapu Fini anyway, and it puts in so much work versus his team otherwise. Like Dual Stab just hurts his team quite a bit. The only other switch-in he sort of has is Muck, which doesn't really want to take Dracos. So regardless, let us just look over Shady's team now. As you can see, he did bring the regular Rotom, which I was not expecting. He has the Mega Charizard X, he has the Alolan Muck, the Jirachi, the regular Aerodactyl, and the Tapu Fini. So without further ado, let us just get into this game. I am actually going to lead off with my, what's it called? I completely forget. Wow, Schady looks really giddy in that little picture there. That's cute. I'm going to lead with my Swampert in order to try and get my rocks up, as looks like, as I do want to really pressure that Charizard as well as the Aerodactyl, as he's actually going to lead with his Rotom, which is very nice. So what I'm going to be able to do is just get up my rocks here. I don't mind being burnt because I am a fully special Swampert. He obviously could possibly have Hidden Power Grass, but I didn't think he would because he does have, I do have a Gliscor that he would want to hit. He could obviously have Hex, that makes sense because obviously Will-O-Wisp Hex is a very good combination, and I could hit the, he could hit the Gliscor, which is always going to be poison, which is very nice. However, what I'm going to do here is just go for the Scald, trying to weaken this thing for my Hawlucha, as he's actually going to set up the light screen. So this is not something that I was expecting. I'm not sure how often he has brought screens in the past, but very good play for his, but, you know, very good prep on his part, because now that's going to make his Zardex easier to set up. I'm actually going to go for Sludge Wave here, so that because I expected the Tapu Fini to want to come in. You know, obviously it makes sense, it can take on whatever Swampert wants to do, and it can defog away the rocks. But unfortunately that is not going to be the case. However, I am going to go for a Scald on this turn, because it looks like he's going to set up his Reflect here, being dual screens, and now I can go for a Scald, possibly snag a burn, as well as, again, just weaken this thing for my Hawlucha later on, as well as if I can get rid of it, then my Licky Licky is in a very good spot. So we're going to burn this thing, which is very, very nice. Again, with this thing gone, my Hawlucha will be able to spam High Jump Kick as well as Acrobatics versus his team, and it's going to be very, very nice. And if I find the opportunity to set up, then that's going to be really nice for me. Even if I can just set up the speed with the Power Herb Sky Attack, then I can possibly beat the rest of his team if I'm able to weaken it enough. Regardless, here he is now going to switch out, and now he is going to go right out into his Tapu Fini. It's going to be taking the rocks damage, as well as taking a little bit of chip damage from the Scald. We'll see if he's leftovers, which he more than likely is. He'll probably be going for Defog relatively soon, but regardless, I'm just going to go for a Scald here in order to weaken the possible Rotom if he wanted to stay in, and you know, I am still at least hitting the Tapu Fini, even though he does have leftovers, and that's going to heal back more than the Scald did. I will be able to get a little bit of chip damage off onto it. As you can see, he's obviously faster than me because his leftovers goes off before mine does. But regardless, this is not the best matchup in the world for me. Sludge Wave still does not do a lot of damage to Tapu Fini just because of its natural bulk. So what I'm actually going to do is go right out into my Licky Licky to try and start cursing up. If he wants to go for the Nature's Madness, as you can see here, I'll still be able to curse up. He still can't do too much to me with Surf or Moonblast, which is very nice. And again, like, well, I don't think he's gonna go into Rotom on my Licky Licky, just because Rotom can't really touch me all that much. Like, obviously I'm immune to one stab, and then Volt Switch is not gonna hit me all that hard. So, and I could potentially be running Knockoff in order to hit that thing. So I don't think he'd want to go Licky Licky. So I'm just gonna go for the Curse in order to hit whatever he wants to send in, as it is actually going to be the Alolan Muck. So as you can see here, he's going to take the rocks damage. I am going to go for my curse, and we are going to boost our defense as well as our attack, which is going to be very nice, because now I can more than likely beat this Muck 1v1. You know, if he's Assault Vest, in order to deal with my Hydreigon, I deal with it very well. He's actually going to be Black Sludge, which is very good to know, which means he's more than likely running some non-attacking moves. Even if he has Taunt on this thing, it's not going to matter because I am Oblivious, which is very good. And now what I can do is actually just go for a Body Slam or potentially another Curse. He's actually going to reveal Curse of his own though, which is a little bit scary. I do have my Gliscor obviously, and this thing does not get access to Ice Punch in order to hit that, but it is still pretty scary. I am going to go for that Body Slam, trying to get damage off onto him. It is not going to be doing much damage at all. You know, that's a neutral Body Slam, and it does very, very little to this thing. And now, what's nice is I have been able to get up a little bit of leftovers recovery, which is pretty cool, but this thing will more than likely be able to beat me 1v1, or it'll come down to a crit war, which I really don't feel like doing. I'd rather just go out into my Gliscor, hoping he doesn't go for a knockoff, because if he gets rid of my Toxic Orb, that's really, really bad. But he's actually going to reveal that he has Crunch over Toxic Orb, and something that's kind of funny is he's going to get the Poison Touch off onto my Gliscor, which gives me... my Toxic Orb would have activated on this turn that I switched it in, and it wouldn't have healed me. So him getting that 30% chance actually is going to heal me by 12%, which is kind of funny. But regardless, what I can do here is just go for the Swords Dance, because I will be able to boost faster than he can boost his defense. So I will be going for that. Obviously, with my natural defenses, I will be taking Crunches very well. He's going to go for another Crunch here, just because he knows he can take an Earthquake, and he more than likely has some sort of recovery move. I will be able to take that relatively well and get myself healed a little bit with the Poison Heal, and then on the following turn I can just go for a Roost, expecting either the Rotom or the Aerodactyl to want to come in, or for him to just go for another attack, and will not be able to, and that'll not be that English. If he went for another attack there, it wouldn't have been able to do too much to me. But regardless, we're going to go for the Roost on his Gliscor because he did not defog earlier with his Tapu Fini. His Aerodactyl is going to be chipped away a little bit by the rocks, and what is nice is no matter what this Aerodactyl is, he cannot knock me out. He cannot knock me out with Banded Ice Fang. If he's Z-move, which I expect him to be, then he can possibly knock me out, but I didn't think he'd be Sub-Zero Slammer with Ice Fang. I figured if anything he would be Supersonic Sky Strike, just because that hits my team very, very hard. Regardless, I can just go for the U-turn. I am at +2, so this will do a little bit of damage, and I'll bring him to about 50%, which is very nice, and then I can just bring out my Swampert, threaten this thing, because obviously I do not die to the Supersonic Sky Strike if he does have it, and I can click Scald. With the rocks up, even if Tapu Fini wants to come in, I'll be getting a little bit of Scald damage. The light screen is not up anymore, so it'll be taking a little bit more than it did the last time, plus we'll be taking rocks damage. So as you can see here, he's going to switch out. He is going to go right out into his Tapu Fini. As kind of expected, I could have predicted this and went for the Sludge Wave, but I didn't want to risk him doing something funky, like going for that Sky Strike and then me just staying in and going for Sludge Wave. So I'm just going to go right for that Scald. He does obviously know that I have the Sludge Wave, but he knows that it's not going to be doing too much damage to me. Swampert's special attack is not that impressive, and Tapu Fini is still pretty bulky. But regardless, this is another thing that I really want to weaken for my Hawlucha. You know, if I can put this thing in range of an Acrobatics, if I can put this in range of a boosted Acrobatics, that is going to be really nice for me. So I am just going to, after he is finally going to go for that Defog, I am going to go for that Sludge Wave in order to weaken him quite a bit, in order to make it easier for my Hawlucha to sweep, also make this less of a switch into V-Create, which is very nice. So as you can see here, Sludge Wave is going to go off. It's actually going to do more than expected because I'm going to land a crit, which is nice for me, not as nice for him, because now I believe he is in range of +2 Acrobatics. Not in range of neutral Sky Attack, but if I hit him with another Sludge Wave, he will be. Regardless, I'm still at full health, which is really nice. So he's kind of forced to go for the Nature's Madness here. He could have Taunt, but I don't know if he would, because that'd be wasted move slot versus my Licky Licky. He is going to go for that Nature's Madness, which, by the way, has a really cool animation, which I didn't touch on earlier, but that's a really cool animation I haven't seen on Wi-Fi yet. Gonna go for another Sludge Wave, and I am going to crit him for the second time in a row, which is funny and sad at the same time, because that's just really annoying for him. And now he is not going to be able to knock me out. He's not going to be able to weaken me anymore without losing his Tapu Fini. He kind of wants the Misty Terrain around so that he can set up easier with his Charizard, as well as just, you know, having his Tapu Fini healthy would have been really nice for him. And now what he's going to do, expecting another Sludge Wave, is going to go out into his Jirachi. However, Earth Power, I believe, would have been able to kill from there, so that is exactly what I'm going to go for. And I'm going to be able to smack his Jirachi with a super effective Earth Power, and going to bring it down to about half, which is kind of unfortunate for him, because obviously his Jirachi being healthy would have been really nice in order to take on certain things on my team. I don't want to risk this thing having Energy Ball or Grass Knot, so I am going to switch out. He did reveal Leftovers, so he could be something like Subcom Mine, but I'm not really expecting it, because I do have things like Victini that hard walls that. But what he's actually going to do is go right back out into a Rotom, probably expecting my switch, or not wanting to take another Earth Power, as I'm going to go right out into my Victini. And from this range of HP, it looks like that the Rotom will be able to die to V-Create. He's obviously not Scarfed, he is Light Clay, in order to get up the maximum amount of benefit from his screens. So I'm just going to click V-Create. Something dies here. His Aerodactyl doesn't want to switch in. His Tapu Fini, because of the 2 crits from Sludge Wave, will die to this V-Create. So he's going to get up the Misty Terrain for the final time. Again, I'm just going to click V-Create. I thought about not going for V-Create just because he does have something like Aerodactyl. He does have Aerodactyl still around, which could go for the Pursuit. But because I'm expecting it to be Z-Crystal and not Bandit, I'm not too afraid of it. Like, I'll be able to take the hit regardless, even if I am at -1. Because, you know, it's only a base 80 unstab move. From not the strongest attack stat in the world, 105 is not terrible, but it's not bad. But it's not great, especially without being boosted by Life Orb or Choice Band. So I am going to switch out here, risking the Pursuit. Thankfully, he does not go for it. I found out later on that he actually did not have it. And we're going to go right out into our Gliscor, kind of as a sack, because I don't have great arrow switch-ins at this point, and I want to keep Swampert healthy so that I can possibly get up rocks. But he's actually going to go for Earthquake, which means that I get the Toxic damage off, and now, or I get the Toxic Recovery, and because I know he's going to go for Ice Fang here, I'm actually going to go out into my Swampert, because if he wants to kill me, even after the Ice Fang damage, he's gonna have to use his Z move here, which means that my Aerodactyl can guaranteed take a hit from this thing later on if need be. So he can either sack he can either get rid of his Z Crystal and go for it here to knock me out and prevent rocks, or he can switch out into something else, allowing me to get my rocks up and keeping his Z move for later. Thankfully, he is actually going to choose to save his Aerodactyl, as I will be able to get up my Stealth Rock. This is really nice for me because now the Charizard is going to be taking 50% because it has not Mega Evolved. His Aerodactyl is going to be weakened to the point where boosted Acrobatics will be able to knock it out. This Rotom, whenever it wants to switch in, will be taking some chip damage. Obviously, the Muck will be taking some Stealth Rock damage, which is really nice. And his Tapu Fini, once again, because of the 2 crits in a row, is gone. So he has no form of defog left. He's going to be able to set up a late screen here. I'm not too afraid of him getting up dual screens at this point because I do have my Swampert still healthy that can kind of deal with the Charizard. I have my Shukaberry Victini at full health with the Thunder Wave, which I can use onto the Charizard as soon as the terrain is gone, which is very nice. His Rotom is going to be chipped down very, very nicely. He went for the light screen on that turn. He's probably going to go for the Reflect on this turn as well in order to get the, the maximum benefit from his screens and whatnot. But no, did he just get the Reflect up? Did I miss the turn? I'm stupid. Anyway. He's going to go into his Charizard here, even though it's not Mega, and I will be hitting it with a super effective Scald. It's not going to be able to do too much damage to him. Like, as you're going to see here, it's just going to do a little bit of damage. Not too much. I can go for Earth Power on the following turn to keep it relatively low. I could have pulled a switch here into my Victini, but I didn't want to risk him just trying to knock me out, even though he... I'm not sure if Dragon Claw would have been able to knock me out here, but regardless, I'm just going to go for the Earth Power, because his plays are either Dragon Claw or Roost. If he goes for Roost, I'll still be able to keep him relatively low with the Earth Power, and if he goes for Roost the first turn, he's definitely going to go for Roost on the following turn. So regardless, he's going to Mega Evolve. As you can see, he is going to go for that Roost, and then I will be able to go for the Earth Power, getting this thing relatively low once again. So as you can see here, he's going to get relatively healthy. I'm going to go for the Earth Power, and... he's actually not going to take a lot from this, which I should have obviously expected. He's Charizard is relatively naturally bulky, plus I'm a special Swampert, once again, not the strongest thing in the world. So now I'm basically forced to go out into my Victini. Hopefully he doesn't go for an attack here. I doubt he would. He has pretty much no other play other than to go for Roost once again. So I am going to go hard out into my Victini. Sorry. I'm going to go hard out into my Victini. He's obviously gonna know that something's up. Usually Charizard X walls Victini pretty hard, but he's going to obviously suspect that I'm up to something because I just hard switched it in onto something that normally counters me. So he's actually going to switch out into his Jirachi here. And what I'm going to do is go right for the Thunder Wave, trying to cripple that Charizard X. However, as you can see here, we are going to hit, we are going to paralyze the Jirachi, and I'm actually not going to click V-Create here, because I do not want to possibly be in range of Charizard X's Dragon Claw at -1. It's more than likely that I'm going to be able to live, but not only am I afraid of that, I really don't want to let Aerodactyl come in for free, because that can be a very big problem, especially if it does have Pursuit and he just didn't go for it earlier. So I actually am going to go out into my Swampert. It got Rocks up already. Swampert did its job. It does die to the Z move. It does, at this point, almost die to the Dragon Claw, and I can't knock out the Charizard with Earth Power. So I'm just going to go out into my Swampert here, as he unfortunately got full parried on that turn. And now what I can do is just click Earth Power to try and knock this thing out. He is actually going to get full parried once again. So, Hacks is coming in twos for Schady. You know, he got crit twice in a row, he got full parried twice in a row. And I'll be able to smack this Jirachi with the Earth Power. I'm basically just trying to sack my Swampert at this point, so... any extra damage I get onto this thing because of the paralysis is awesome for me, not so awesome for him. So what I'm going to do is just, again, just stay in and click Earth Power. I have no reason to do anything else. This is also, the more that this happens, this is also stalling out his own screens, unfortunately for him. He is going to go for the next Psychic. He is going to be able to do a decent amount of damage to me, however, will not be able to knock me out from the range of HP I was at. He's barely going to miss out on the KO, and then I can hit his Jirachi with another Earth Power, as I will be able to get some more chip damage off onto him, and now he is in range of High Jump Kick from my Hawlucha, which is very nice, at least without the screens. And now he has to send, because of the two paralysis in a row, he is now going to have to spend another turn trying to knock me out. If he gets full parried on this turn, that's even worse. The light screen is going to wear off, as you can see. He is going to be able to knock me out with Psychic, which is good for him. Obviously, that would have been really crappy if he had gotten parried a third time there, but he will be able to knock me out. And now what I can do is just go out into my Hydreigon. I am actually Habanberry on my Hydreigon, so I can live a non-boosted Dragon Claw from the Zard X, which is very nice. so I'm not too afraid of that thing coming in. What I can do here, just click that Dark Pulse to be able to get rid of his Jirachi here. So, big threat to my team gone. That's really cool. And now what he is going to do is just send in his Haywire, which is going to be his Alolan Muck. Obviously, with the Tapu Fini gone, this is the best thing he has to deal with my Hydreigon. So what I'm actually going to do is just go right back out into my Gliscor. I have no reason to do anything else. In comes the Gliscor. Also, apparently there's a space after the R in November, because there's a space in between November and the exclamation mark, which is kind of weird, but I don't know, just felt like I wanted to point that out. He's going to go for Curse with his Muck. I'm going to get some recovery back with the Toxic Orb, and then I'm going to be able to go for the Swords Dance in order to possibly deal with this thing. He's going to get some Black Sludge recovery. I'm going to get some Poison Heal going. He cannot knock me out with Crunch. And actually, let's see, what am I going to... No, I'm going to go right for Earthquake. Reason for that is I want to weaken this thing to the point where it doesn't die, but it will get knocked out by my Hawlucha's Sky Attack. Because if I can get off a Sky Attack with my Hawlucha, burn the Power Herb, and get my Unburden, I actually just sweep his team with Acrobatics plus High Jump Kick. So I'm just basically going to be clicking Earthquake here, like I just said, so that I can put this thing in range of Sky Attack from my Hawlucha so that I can possibly sweep his team. I'm going to go for another Earthquake here. It's going to do a decent amount of damage to this Muck. Now he is definitely in range of the Power Herb Sky Attack, so I'm actually kind of hoping he knocks me out with this Crunch here. It doesn't look like he will. And as you can see here, he actually does not. And a Shadow Sneak is not going to be able to kill me from here either, but regardless, with Gliscor being in, it prevents his Charizard from being able to set up, like he can go into that afterwards and knock me out, but he will not be able to set up a Swords Dance or a Dragon Dance or whatever he wants to do. So I'll be able to go for the Earthquake, I'll be able to knock out this Muck, which is very nice, and now he is going to be able to go out into, I believe, his Aerodactyl. No, actually, he's going to use this as an opportunity to go out into his Rotom to possibly try and set up some screens. So he's going to go into Rotom. He is going to take the rocks damage, and what I can do is actually, as whatever screen he decides to go for is okay, because I can go out into Hawlucha, he's actually going to go for Light Screen, which is really good for me, because now I can U-turn out into my Hawlucha, get a slow U-turn nonetheless, and now I will be able to go for the Power Herb Sky Attack, and assuming that I'm able to hit my Sky Attack, I will be able to just sweep the rest of his team. Assuming his Charizard does not have Flare Blitz. Even if it has Flare Blitz, after taking an Acrobatics, I believe he'll have to knock himself out. And again, I do have my Habanberry Hydreigon, so I don't mind him living, because I can knock him out with the Dark Pulse afterwards. So regardless, I'm just going to go for the Power Herb Sky Attack here. Obviously, there goes the first part of the animation. Here comes the Power Herb, and then here comes the attack coming through. So Sky Attack is going to go through. It will be able to knock out this Rotom from the amount of HP it's at easily. And now with my speed being doubled, I will be able to outspeed the Aerodactyl as well as everything else on his team. He's going to send out his Charizard X. High Jump Kick is a chance to kill, but I really don't want to miss, so I'm just going to go for the Acrobatics here, getting some damage off onto his Charizard X. And as you can see here, at that range of HP, if he does go for Flare Blitz, he won't be able to knock himself out, which is really nice for me because Hydreigon does live any hit from the Aerodactyl bar the Z-Fly, but he actually ends up going for Dragon Claw because he did not have Flare Blitz, so we are going to be able to live that and knock him out with the Acrobatics. And now the only thing that he has left is going to be his Aerodactyl, which means that we can go for an Acrobatics here because of at the range of HP he is at, I will be able to knock him out. So we're going to go for that Acrobatics. I'm going to fire it off, going to hit the Aerodactyl, and we are going to win this game pretty handily. We are going to win this game 5-0, and that is largely in part due to, well, for one, before I go into the obvious hacks in that game, I think I played this game extremely well. I think I prepped for this game extremely well. I was very happy with the team that I built. I was very happy with with how it performed against Schady. The Hawlucha ended up sweeping at the end just as I wanted it to. The Curse Licky could have done stuff if the Rotom wasn't there, but Rotom was kind of just a liability for his team. Obviously, he was able to set up screens, but they didn't end up doing too much for him. The Victini was able to wall break through his team, even though it didn't have the best matchup versus his team because he had some good V-Create switch-ins, he had possible Pursuit Trappers and whatnot. It was able to, he had some potential Scarfers that could have checked it. It was able to put in a lot of work versus his team, which is very nice. The Swords Dance Gliscor kept his Muck from being able to set up the Swampert, set up rocks, and was able to chip away at the Tapu Fini, which is really nice. So I feel like I prepped very well, and I feel like I played very well. But obviously, we can't ignore the fact that I got 2 crits in a row on his Tapu Fini with Swampert Sludge Wave, and I got 2 full pairs in a row on the Jirachi. The 2 crits in a row, in particular, definitely mattered, because I needed that Tapu Fini weakened in order for my Hydreigon to do a lot of damage. I needed it weakened for my Hawlucha to do a lot of damage. You know, so that I couldn't spam Nature's Madness versus my team. I needed that thing weakened so I could spam V-Crate with Victini. So obviously those 2 crits were huge and really, really helpful for me and very detrimental to him. Also, the 2 full pairs on Jirachi, I didn't need my Swampert at that point. You know, I could have just gone into my Victini afterwards and knocked out the Jirachi, or I could have gone out into my Hydreigon and knocked out the Jirachi afterwards. But the big thing about that is that it allowed my, it allowed his screens to, or it allowed me to stall out his screens a couple extra turns while he was being paralyzed, because he would have been able to kill me a couple turns earlier. He would have had a couple more turns of screen. I don't think he would have been able to do too much with it. But, like, obviously, if I'm in with Hydreigon, it doesn't matter if he has his Zardex, it's going to die to a Dragon Pulse from behind the light screen anyway. Or a Draco Meteor, I forget what I had, but I had one of them. So, you know, obviously the hacks in this game did definitely play a part, and the only hacks that he got versus me was getting a Poison Touch Poison on my Gliscor, which healed me for 12% a turn earlier. So, obviously, this game just did not go well for him in terms of hacks. Regardless, I think it was still a pretty good game. Like I said, definitely check out Schady in the description below. Very good creator, very good friend of mine. That's going to be it for the PPL season. We finished 7-4 with a +6 differential. Honestly, for, you know, considering the fact that I didn't really enjoy my team all that much, you know, I loved every single individual on. I love, like, the 6 on screen I absolutely love. I love Cofagrigus, I love Mega Venusaur, and things like that. The fact that I didn't really have enough offense, and the fact that I didn't really have enough fast offense, like my only fast thing was Hawlucha, and then it dropped down to Victini. You know, considering the fact that I had like 3 offensive things, being Victini, Hawlucha, and Hydreigon. Yes, things like Mega Venusaur can be offensive, but they're not really meant to be offensive. I'm pretty happy with how this season went. You know, 7-4 is still a pretty good record. We come in 4th in the overall league table. You know, after coming off of 2 first place championships in a row, I'm still very, very okay with that. And I am looking forward to next season. I'm not sure if next season is going to be with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, or if it's just going to be with regular Sun and Moon again. Regardless, even with the team that I didn't really enjoy all that much, it was still a fun season. I think it was still a pretty strong season. And especially coming off at the end of the season with 2 wins against 2 of the better battlers in league format, being Jolt and Schady, I'm content with how this season went. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you guys are really looking forward to me playing in the NPL. That is going to be going up on the channel relatively soon, as well as a couple other videos that I hope you guys will enjoy, including one that may or may not include our opponent this week in Schady. So regardless, thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you guys for supporting me throughout the season, and I will see you guys in the next video.